Hi, we're back with our Finovate Fall Digital 25 and 5 Q&A interview series. I'm David Penn, research analyst with Finovate, and joining me is Sean Collins of Monit. Sean, thanks for joining us today.
David, great seeing you, and thanks for having me.
Certainly, and it's great to have you here with our interview series. Great to have you as part of Finovate Fall Digital. Folks are going to get to know a lot more about you and about Monit over the course of the week through the demo that they're going to be able to see in the demo into the platform. But maybe before we jump into our 25 and 5 rapid fire questions, you could tell us just a little bit about yourself and about Monit.
Sure. Financial services lifer, Fintech, starting around 10 years ago. I've done quite a bit in the space. My focus tends to be on things that are enterprise advice problems, helping people make decisions in the context of uncertainty. Monit is part of that sort of view that I have that we should help small business people actually make better decisions, particularly about the financial aspects of their business by using technology. And Monit is an app that does that. It's a predictive cash flow and financial optimization platform that fits on your phone and really helps you and helps the small business person make the best possible decisions, see into the future, and really have the companion and guide they often really need, since the companies don't have the resources like larger companies do.
Sure, fantastic. Very interesting stuff. And again, people are going to get a chance to learn a lot more about that by checking out your live demo. So are you ready for the questions?
You bet.
All right, 25 rapid fire questions in 5 minutes. Here we go. We start the clock and let's go. First up, bigger inspiration, Bill Gates or Steve Jobs?
That's easy. Come on, Steve Jobs.
Okay. Which gets you more excited, artificial intelligence or Internet of Things?
AI for sure.
Okay. Your favorite technology company outside of Fintech?
You know, I don't love the big tech companies for a lot of reasons, but I love this company that not many people know about called Miro, M-I-R-O, and it's an interesting collaborative whiteboard space that not just like pre-COVID, but it's really an interesting way of actually thinking about collaboration using, I mean, they call them whiteboards, but it's so much more. So that's really one of my favorite companies outside of Fintech.
Oh, cool. One for all of us to look up. Here's another one. Do you use a robo-advisor for your own investments?
Personal capital.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Your favorite color?
Cerulean.
Nice one. Another inspiration question. Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk?
Elon Musk. I mean, how many people do you know that can start companies in so many different spaces? They have a connection, obviously. I know that he's an acquired taste for a lot of people. I obviously don't know him or really follow him, but I think that one's fairly easy as well.
He's an interesting guy. Which gets you more excited, blockchain or open banking?
Open banking for sure. I think that particularly what's happening in Europe with the consumer space here in small business, I think it's just going to open up so much more potential for banking generally.
Okay. State your most unpopular tech opinion.
Am I allowed to use a swear word or
no? We'll keep it PG-13.
Okay. I won't use the swear word then. I would say that the most unpopular one that I dearly hold is that this distinction between the front end and the back end in technology stacks, there's somehow distinction between them. I think it's absolute BS. And I think it leads to actually a lot of confusion and slow moving. I think it's particularly important when you think about enterprise advice models that require the individual to be part of the data engine. Again, we need to extract the heuristics from the individual to help them make the best decision about a future unpredictable event or something that might happen. And I think this idea, this distinction between front end and back end, is one that will quickly be in the dustbin. I'm hoping.
Wow, very interesting, very interesting. Best city for tech startups that nobody knows about?
Yeah, I do have one. It's Iowa City, Iowa, and that's the home of the University of Iowa. It's an amazing town. I know it sounds like, to people that tend to be on the coast, like a very Midwestern town, it's beautiful. And the university there is just tremendous. There's a huge tech infrastructure. It's a great place to be and live. It's a fantastic town. Think of like a Cambridge or a Berkeley, but somehow in the Midwest, or Ann Arbor. So I really encourage people to check that out.
Interesting. Stuff happening in the heartland. Favorite mode of public transportation?
Flying on airplanes, is that allowed?
Sure. Your favorite is your favorite. If you weren't involved in fintech, what would you be involved in?
Med tech, for sure.
Okay. Interesting. It's time to relax. Do you read a book or listen to music?
Neither. I meditate.
Okay.
At my age, I found it tremendously helpful, and I recommend it to pretty much anyone.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. Do you own a smartwatch?
I do.
Okay. There you go. Which technology do you find the most overhyped?
I'd have to say blockchain. I mean blockchain in the change the world and everything category. I think it does have a great set of uses, but it still seems in some ways to me as a solution in search of a clear problem. Now it's changing rapidly.
Mhm.
Some might say AI, but I've seen such advances, and I do see aspects of it really continuing forward. But measured in sort of decades, if you're looking at 25 years out or 30, 40, or 50 years out, I would say AI will be far more impactful than blockchain or any other technology.
Sure. Your favorite sport or recreational activity?
You know, um, I do a lot of training, so just sort of strength and flexibility training. As I've gotten older, it's really critical that I really keep up with that. Much more so than when I was your age or sort of younger. So it's one of those things I really do pay attention to daily.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. What's the most unique about your technology, about Monit's technology?
You know, I'll two quick answers. One, the wonky one is sort of our aspect around sort of a Bayesian sort of network and decision nodes where we don't have good input output data using ML. Machine learning is just not possible. So how we apply that, because there's no good input output data to really machine learn your way to a algorithm that says, hey, make a small business financially healthy. So it's really a combination of techniques. So I would say that that's very unique. And I would put it more sort of normally and say just the fact that we need to help people make decisions in the context of real uncertainty that are important decisions. And that's really the technology problem I really want to solve, whether it's in this space or other spaces.
Sure. What would you say is the most important thing about building a strong team?
Yeah, that's a great one. I would say, of course, attracting great people. So how you do that, though, I think is a little counterintuitive. I think it's first having a really meaningful problem that technology can address, a meaningful one that people can really relate to, but it has to be well bounded, and it has to also be clear, so that people can really apply their talents. I think when one of those three things is missing, I think it's tough to have people, the best people, really light into it, because of course there's a lot of things that interest them and things they could be doing. But I would say that a meaningful, hard problem, hard in the good sense, that it's well bounded and clear, I think is really critical to attracting the team that you need to be successful.
Yeah, interesting, interesting. Where do you see your company in 2 to 3 years?
No, I would love to see us, and Steve Dow, our CEO, who will be doing the demo, and I'm sort of the warm-up act for it in many ways. I would say that we'd love to see ourselves in 2 to 3 years powering great small business health and great decision-making and financial acumen, for small businesses. And by that, I mean under 10 million, like real small businesses, through these power verticals, through banks, places these people already are doing financial work, and we just want to be that thing in the background that's helping them make great decisions. Probably less so being sort of a big standalone, oh, we're known as Monit as this brand, because I think the key thing is solving the problem, and I think we do that best by going where those small business people are already living and making decisions, and being part of that.
Interesting. Do you own more in digital assets than you do in precious metals?
Right now, more precious metals, I believe, but not, I don't have like gold, it just, sort of those securities tied to those things.
Okay.
So yeah, it's probably unusual, I would imagine.
Your favorite vacation spot or getaway?
London, I think that's an easy one for me, yeah.
Nice, nice. What are you looking most forward to once the COVID crisis has passed us?
A lot of little things, but probably it's a great question. Of course, like travel, hearing what everyone says. But the simpler thing would be just heading down to a bar with my wife. We're empty nesters now, and having a drink and some having drinks and food at the bar with some nice folks that we can just get together with. Like just that, I really do miss that. Of course, all the other things we all miss, right? But that's a small one that I really find myself missing.
No, I know what you mean on that one. Who are Monit's primary customers?
Small business people, I would say, under 10 million, single digit millions. They don't have CFOs. They don't have financial staff. They don't have multi-tab spreadsheets. They don't know what FP&A means.
Mhm.
They got into business because they love what they're doing. They have this existential crisis, this threat right now, and they need help. So I would say that's our target, and they're not sleeping well at night. In other words, if you talk about sort of the personal side of it, is that they really do agonize over this stuff. They don't feel like they're in total mastery of their financial picture of their business, and they have too much else to do, particularly revenue generation, keeping their business going, employees motivated. We just want to take this part of this off their plate.
Sure.
And that would be a huge thing for us to do. So more than the question asked, but just give you more background.
Sure, sure. It's the one technology you personally cannot do without.
Really probably the phone. Yeah, that's easy, I guess, for most people.
Alrighty. Which fintech news is more likely to get your attention if you see it in a headline? A big IPO, a big acquisition, or a big VC investment?
Probably a big acquisition. I'm really interested in how sort of old financial, I won't call it fintech, but so the old financial world, or the sort of the established one, is really beginning to morph itself into something different with the acquisitions they make.
Yeah.
Financial services benefits from scale. Let's be clear about that. It's great to have these people coming over the transom and competing and really challenging the large companies. But I love the way they're transforming themselves. And I think Goldman Sachs is probably sort of a great case study at that. I think they call themselves a technology company for a few years. What they're doing with Marcus is very interesting. I know people there. And I think these are really interesting hybrids that are developing. So I would say who's acquiring whom is really fascinating to me. The acquisition of Personal Capital, by sort of a large record keeper in the space, a really established one, I thought was also really interesting. I think you'll find that Empower and Personal Capital will really transform each other. So those things get my attention because that's really what I think will happen long term in the financial services sector.
Sure, interesting. And last but not least, your favorite thing about being a part of Finovate Fall Digital?
It's a great question. If you go back historically, and I go back a long way for sure, David, as you well know, I would say that I see Finovate, even in its early days, it was the sort of the Kitty Hawk, going back to sort of the airplane Wright brothers thing. So it's the Kitty Hawk for things just getting airborne that become really interesting later. And so you go back and look at those companies. I mentioned Personal Capital. I watched Bill Harris's, someone I know, their demo at Finovate years ago, and it's just fascinating. So I would say it's that element it has where it sort of finds companies that are really interesting. They're going to be potentially something very big in the future. I would say that's great at that.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you very much for being a part of our 25 and 5 Q&A interview series. I hope it was a halfway enjoyable time for you.
It certainly was, Dave. It's great meeting you, and thanks for the time. Really appreciate it.
Great. Well, thank you for being a part of our interview. Thank you for being a part of Finovate Fall Digital. And again, I invite everybody to check out Monit's demo on the other end of the platform. So thanks again.
Awesome. Thank you.